All right, guys, we're back. We're ready to talk some football. We're going to cover tonight's NFL slate, just the Cowboys versus the Bengals. Should be a lot of fun. Single game slate, playing in Dallas. We have 4 plays for you, regular plays. And then Jordy and I each made out a demon slip, which we love to do. I make them all the time. Probably not a good idea, but I do it. It's a lot of fun. So we're going to cover some demon plays for you as well. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop us a like, and drop us a comment. If you have any questions about plays, just throw it in the comments. We'll get back to you. We'll do a little bit of research with you. And then if you have plays that you're excited about tonight, drop them in the comments. Let the community take advantage of what you think is going to be hitting tonight. Shout out to our partners, Better, Underdog, Parlay Play. If you use code BACKDOOR, any of those, they're going to hook you up. Parlay Play is going to give you a 100% deposit match up to $100 plus a free $5 promo slip. And we're going to throw in 30 days in our premium Discord as well. If you use code BACKDOOR at Parlay Play, just email us at bdfantasysports@gmail.com. We'll get it all sorted out within 24 hours, usually pretty quick. And then for Better, if you use code BACKDOOR, you're going to get a $200 deposit match plus a free pick to help you cash your first slip. Underdog is going to give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a free pick to help you cash your first slip. All that information is listed below if you want to check out any of our partners or tools that we're partnered with. Real quick recap of the Sunday slate. We were pretty close. So I had taken Saquon Barkley over his rushing yards, 112.5. He went for 124. Trey McBride just barely got it for us. He had a decent amount of targets too. I think he had like 13 or 14 targets, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was at least 12, but he only hauled in 7. So we took him over 6.5 receptions. So he didn't hit the demon that we had, but 7 receptions, he cashed that. Brock Bowers did not get it done. Only 49 receiving yards, took him over 75.5. And Aiden O'Connell left that game, just kind of really turned into a mess there for them. But he wasn't getting anything going in the first half. And then, he only had a couple chunk plays in the second half. Honorable mention, I had thrown out Rashad White with Bucky Irving, not at 100%. Talked about him over 34.5 rushing yards. He crushed it, went for 90, cashed his demon as well. And then, your plays were close too, weren't they?
Yeah. So pretty close day all around. I took Tyron Tracy over that 13.5 receiving yards. That's just a free play. It always cashes late in the game too. When they get in dire situations, they start throwing him the ball. I don't know why they wait so long, because he immediately went for 38 receiving yards, like nothing. So he went over that 13.5. Nick Chubb took him over 40.5 rushing yards. Took him a little bit to get this done, but he also got this done in the second half. He went for 48, so he just barely missed that demon, that 49.5 demon we took. And then Hawkinson, he didn't get a single target in the first half, so the tight ends are really the ones who screwed us this week. But Hawkinson didn't get targeted at all in the first half. Second half came out roaring. Only got to 5 though, and then also just barely missed that reception demon at 4.5. My demon slip is so depressing because it's all 0.5s that are just like, 0.5 McBride, 0.5 Chubb, 0.5 Judy, 0.5 Hawkinson. Pat Fryermuth actually hit his. He went for 48 receiving yards. So really, really close, but we're slowly getting it dialed in here.
Yeah, man. I had mentioned too, all they had was the touchdown available for Zach Charbonnet. But I was saying, if they give you anything else, take it over. And he ended up getting the start. Obviously, Kenneth Walker out. He dominated. 22 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 targets, 7 receptions, 59 yards. I think part of Hawkinson's situation is Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuclear. Missed opportunity on Jordan Addison. Like, I was high on him last week and he burned me, but he crushed it the week before. And then now I'm like, okay, playing against Atlanta, I didn't even start him in my dynasty league. He went nuts. 12 targets, 8 receptions, 133 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So my God. Always on my bench, my receivers. But we're excited about this game, though. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let's talk about the plays we're getting into. I'm going to be taking, I'm going fantasy score for both my plays, keeping it simple. You might not want to join me. You don't have to. You can fade it. But I'm going to be going Chase Brown over his fantasy score, 18.5. We're getting it a little bit lower on some platforms, but the highest lines are 18.5. And then going Rico Dowdle over 15 fantasy score. This is the one I think is probably going to scare some of you away. I don't blame you. Do what you want. You know, it's your decision to make. But I'm taking his fantasy score over 15, a little bit lower on underdog, where it's half point PPR. What are you getting into, Jordy?
Yeah, so for mine, I'm going to be taking CD Lamb over his longest reception at 21.5, and then Andre Yoshavash over his longest reception at 13.5. And we're getting this on every platform. So feeling good about those two lines for sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to show you guys the demon slip I have made as well. And let's see here. And we'll break this down. We have some players that we both took in our demon slips, but I'm going over 29.5 receiving yards for Chase Brown. I'll break all these plays down. Jordy and I will as well, in addition to our regular plays, but also going with Kavontae Turpin, not Turbin, Turpin over 29.5 receiving yards. Rico Dowdle, I'm taking that demon as well, over 99.5 rushing and receiving yards. Mike Gesicki over 3.5 receptions. Andre Yoshivas, I always say that wrong, 29.5 receiving yards. And Jamar Chase, just for good measure, going over 89.5 receiving yards. This one is 92x for all 6, 10x for 5 out of 6, and 2x for 4 out of 6. What's your demon slip look like, Jordy?
Yeah, so for mine, I've actually got T. Higgins for a touchdown, taking that touchdown demon. Mike Gesicki over the 3.5. Yoshavash, or yeah, however you say the last name, over 29.5. Turpin, I'm taking his 19.5 because it was giving me a weird multiplier on the, or maybe now it's, I think it's corrected because I was getting 100x on this. But 19.5 on the receiving yards. Might bump that up too, though. Rico Dowdle over 79.5 rushing yards, and CD Lamb over 79.5 receiving yards. So I'm riding with the Cowboys today. Hopefully we can, God wills it, get a win.
Yeah. All right, let's start breaking it down. So for Chase Brown, fantasy score, I was kind of looking at a bunch of different stuff here on Outlier. They have his receptions at as a EV plus play. But yeah, if we just take a look, we'll start with just looking at the fantasy score lately. Man, ever since Zach Moss went down, it was a little bit of a bumpy ride for a minute there, but man, has he turned into fantasy gold if you had him in Dynasty or redraft. But yeah, 4 straight games clearing this 18.5 mark. At the beginning of the season, 3-4 games in, you would say the Cowboys are a matchup we look for running backs, but they've really cleaned things up over the past couple of weeks, getting Micah Parsons back, especially, but they're just playing a lot better ball lately. So it's not as easy as it typically would be. But if we take a little bit closer look at the matchup here, overall rushing yards allowed 31st. I think that's a little bit deceiving though, because that's kind of like the first 8 or 9 games is what really just tanked the Cowboys defensive rating against the rush. But not saying that they're dominant now, but it's like they're not the worst anymore in my opinion. I would say the Giants are who we're targeting for running backs, but 31st in rushing yards allowed, 13th in receiving yards allowed. If we go to running back specifically, 20th in rushing yards allowed to running backs, 24th in receiving yards allowed. So still not a matchup I'm afraid of. We've got this fat over under 49.5. Bengals favored by 4.5, playing in Dallas. So we're indoors if we want to consider that first quarter field goal prop. But I don't know. I'm a little bit apprehensive. I'll probably throw it into at least one slip, but I don't know if that happens in the first quarter or not for this game, but we are playing indoors, so I don't have to worry about weather or anything. But yeah, he's been getting into the end zone. Chase Brown has. Take a look at that. Been pretty decent. Yeah. 7 out of 12 games this season. And what's that? 7 out of his last 9. So, and then one of those was 2, so dude's been balling out. And then the matchup for Chase is solid too. 26th in touchdowns allowed to running backs by the Cowboys. So yeah, I mean, this guy can catch the ball great. He was really popping off there with receptions for a minute, but it's dialed back just a little bit. So he only had 3 against Pittsburgh, but then against the Chargers, he had 5 receptions. Against Baltimore, he had 9 receptions. And against Vegas, he had 5 receptions. This has been kind of the start of when he's been really going nuts. Like we saw, he's cashed this fantasy score in 4 straight as well. But yeah, we know at least on Prize Picks, parlay play better. That's going to be a full point for every reception. So if he's good for 4 or 5, we're already close to being there. I believe on Prize Picks, I think the touchdown for Chase was a goblin, the single. Let me double check. Yeah, so they have a goblin for his 0.5, so they're expecting him to have a good chance at the touchdown here. So 4 or 5 receptions plus the touchdown, we're already knocking on the door of 11, 12 points right there. So I think that making up that extra 7 points between rushing and receiving yards, I think could be able to get this done. If he happens to get a second touchdown, we're absolutely going to cash this. But I just want a little bit of everything in this case, so I'm just going to this fantasy score over 18.5. If we take a look at Daily Grind, they really like this combo between him and Dowdle. 144.5 rushing yards combo. They like that to go over. It's at a 51.99% odds to hit the over. And then they like his longest reception over 12.5. Fantasy score, they've got favored to the under. We've talked about it before. Fantasy score is a little bit, I don't know, it's like kind of deceiving. Like if there's like anything slightly off with the fantasy score on the optimizer, it favors it to the under. It's not super juiced to the under, but they've got it at a 51.67% odds to hit the under. And I think that it's because it's the most expensive on Prize Picks at 18.5. Other platforms are offering it at like 17.5, 17.6. They like his rushing receiving yards to go over 106.5. They have a 51.07% odds to hit the over, minus 124. So just give me all of it. I'm going to take the fantasy score, so I'm connected to all of it. And then Rico Dowdle. This is the one I thought, like, maybe you guys are a little apprehensive, and I don't blame you, but I feel like he's going to get over 15 in this. With this, almost 50 point over under. The Bengals defense is just pure trash. It's just like they're the reason that the Bengals are have the record they do, because Joe Burrow and this offense, they've been dominant. They've been putting up great outings week after week, and their defense just does nothing to help them. So I like the Cowboys to be able to put up a lot of points in this matchup. If we look at his last 2 games for rushing and receiving yards against Washington, which is, that was like not the game we were expecting when they played Washington. It was very like slow as far as like the action was going. It was very slow until the 4th quarter. And then it just turned into, it's like they made up for all of the points they should have been scoring. That was a wild ending to that game, starting with that crazy punt return. Or I think it was a punt, maybe it was a kickoff, but you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, he still ended up cashing 86 rushing yards and 12 receiving yards in that game, going for 98. And then that last outing against the Giants, who are just the matchup you want for running backs right now. 112 rushing yards, 11 receiving yards. On paper, the Bengals are 13th in rushing yards allowed to running backs, 9th in receiving yards. Overall, oh my God. Yeah, just all green. 23rd in rushing yards allowed, 27th in receiving yards allowed. I would like to see him get into the end zone tonight. I think he has a good chance to. His workload has been increasing. He's definitely the definitive RB1 finally. He should have been, by week 4, but McCarthy's finally giving him that workload. 21st in touchdowns allowed to running backs and 31st overall. That's what I'm talking about. This team, the Bengals defense, is just non-existent. They've got his touchdown as an EV plus play on Outlier. So everything's indicating to me that he's going to be able to clear this. If we take a look at his receptions, he's usually good for 3. As of late, he's had at least 3 receptions in 5 out of his last 6 games. And then we've got 22nd in receptions allowed overall, 11th in receptions allowed to running backs. So that can also be a little bit deceiving because it depends on the type of running backs they're going against as well. Not all running backs are like heavy pass catchers. So yeah, that doesn't scare me at all, them being 11th. I think that just about covers it. I just feel I'm feeling good about this play. I'm starting him in my dynasty league tonight. So yeah, I'm going to be rolling with it. I think he can get us over 15. He's good for that touchdown. Just out of curiosity, what is his touchdown at? Probably not a goblin, I'm guessing. No, it's just regular. They're not as confident that he's going to get in the end zone as Chase Brown. But either way, I think that, like I said, I'm taking that demon of his rushing and receiving yards. I guess I'll just finish talking about that too. So for Chase Brown, let me just show you daily grind for Dowdle, and I'll just jump through the demon plays. So yeah, his fantasy score, they got favored to the under at 15, 52.08% odds to hit the under. If you don't want to take it, don't take it. I'm taking it. They like his longest rush to go over 14.5. Sounds pretty good to me too. 51.22% odds to hit the over. And then obviously that rush combo. They also like they like him to get in the end zone. His rush receiving TD over 0.5. Daily grind likes it at a 50.91% odds to hit the over. If they think that's going to happen, and I'm going to assume that he cashes his fantasy score because he would only need 9 points. He's going to get a couple receptions. Basically needs rushing and receiving combined. He'd need like 60 yards if all of those others hit. So feeling good about that. I'll let you break down Turpin. So Jamar Chase, this isn't the greatest matchup. It's kind of middle of the road. Cowboys have been playing better defense lately. 16th in receiving yards allowed to wide receivers. He actually hasn't popped off that many times this year, but when he does, he goes absolutely nuts, knocking on the door of 200 yards against Baltimore both times. That is a pass funnel defense. We talk about it all the time, but yeah, 193 yards and then 264 yards. But he just put up a 86 against Pittsburgh. I think that this is going to be another shootout, and I think he's going to be involved. So his normal line was, I think, at 81 or something like that. Let me just take a look. 82.5. So the demon play that we're taking is just the 89. So it's not asking too much him to get 8 more yards, 9 more yards than what his normal line is at. So that was the demons are harder to hit. So we're a little bit, you kind of have to know what you're getting into. We're not guaranteeing this is going to hit. I like this Mike Gesicki receptions as well, was one of the other demon plays. The matchup does look tough. 3rd in receptions allowed to tight ends, but he has cleared this 4 out of his last 5 games, and I imagine he can get at least 1 reception per quarter is all he would need to average to cash this 3.5 reception demon. I thought about taking his yards instead. You could consider that. It is an EV plus play on Outlier. But yeah, I just, he's averaging 8, what was it? I thought it was less than that. So he's averaging 12.1 yards per reception. So I guess if he gets 4, we're sitting at 40, but let me just double check. I think, so yeah, 39.5. I'll probably make another slip and throw the receiving yards at 39.5 in there as well. My first one is going to be the receptions 3.5, because I don't think he hits those yards necessarily without hitting those receptions. So yeah, let me just make sure there's not any other demon plays that I missed here. Dowdle, rushing, receiving. I think we talked about that. We did briefly, but the matchup isn't scary for rushing and receiving. for Dowdle. A little bit above average, 13th rushing yards allowed, 9th in receiving yards allowed. But he's done this in his last 2 games, and I think he's going to have to be involved to keep up with this. Yeah. So let me wrap this up. Dowdle, Gesicki, you're going to cover Yoshivas and Turpin. So yeah, if you guys want to check out this app Outlier, you can try it out for free. It's a killer tool. It gives you all of this information, all of these stats, and all these different categories. You can take players in and out of the equation. If you know someone's going to be out, you can just click on it and they'll say, hey, the guy you're looking at, here's what he does without this other guy in the equation. It's super helpful. But yeah, they cover matchups in detail overall and specific to the position. They also cover injury reports. And then they've got this insights tab that just gives you little options that they like. They give you a note as to why they like it, and then they just point you in the direction of that prop on the specific platform. So you can just click that and it'll take you straight to that platform and start to get you locked into that play if you're interested in it. But yeah, you just go through the link below for Outlier. You don't need to put in a code or anything. Just sign up through our link and they're going to give you a week to enjoy this and see how you like it, give it a test run. But yeah, that's going to cover my plays. I'll pass it over to Jordy.
All right. Yeah. So to get into my regular plays first, I've got this CeeDee Lamb longest reception. I feel good about this. He's not listed as questionable anymore. He's a little banged up. He had like that shoulder injury that he re-aggravated on Thanksgiving, but they kind of had an extended time off, so he was able to get himself back into shape and ready to play. So they said he's good to go, no restrictions or anything in the last practice. So hopefully his shoulder's doing all right. We definitely need him tonight to go ham. So this longest reception, this was bumped a lot higher than this all year long. This was sitting at like 30.5 for a long time. So with his injuries and missing this in a couple of these games, he's back down at 21.5 this longest reception. He actually even hit this in that New York game where he went like 3 receptions on 6 or 8 targets, whatever it was. But I love this play to go over. I think tonight, I think he's going to ball out. I think it's going to be kind of a redemption game for him. He's gone over this 9 out of 12 games this year, so the dude can definitely ball no matter who's throwing him the ball. So not too worried. Cooper Rush is actually really solid. Our team is finally getting healthy. Our defense was so horrible for a while this year because we had so many players hurt. We had no Deron Bland. We had no Micah Parsons. We had no Lawrence. So there's a lot of guys who are coming back who are going to make our defense better. And, with Parsons being back on the field, everyone's playing a lot better. So he's kind of like our quarterback for the defense. So really digging the way our team's been looking. I think this game's going to be a lot more competitive than it has been with the Cowboys. We are 1-5 at home. So, this being in Dallas, I would not be surprised if we lose, but hopefully we can eke it out. But I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be a big part of the script, obviously. They like this to go over as well. Minus 118, 50.27% chance. So a little bit on the 50-50 fence, but we'll take it. I definitely like this play a lot. I think he's going to get plenty of targets tonight. Number 1 in target share of the Cowboys by a long shot. 26% of the target share he's getting. So huge there. Liking this play a lot. Andre Yoshivas, I like this play too. 7 out of 12 games this year. He's kind of like their splash play guy. Like they don't target him too much, but when they need him, he's there. They target him about 3.5 targets per game. He's 5th in target share. I think it looks good. He's like I said, he's hit this 7 out of 12 games. 7 out of his last 10 games he's gone over this. It's only 13.5 yards for a wide receiver. This is really low. There's going to be a lot of attention on T. Higgins and Jamar Chase tonight. A lot of our top corners are going to be covering those guys, and our defense is not playing the best in the secondary either. So, we're giving up 16th in receiving yards allowed to receivers. So I think Yoshivas can sneak out and get this done. Real quickly while I'm covering this, I'll cover his demon play, which we're getting at 29.5, I believe. Let's see here. I got it pulled up on this other one. Yeah, 29.5. So this is a really solid line. He's gone over this in 5 out of 10 of his last games. On the year, 5 out of 12. So soft matchup, but like I said, I think the other guys are going to be pulling a lot of the coverage on 3.5 targets, almost 4 targets a game. I think he can hit this no problem. So 29.5 is really, really low. They're expecting this to be a shootout, 49.5 over to under, so I think he can get this done for sure. So for a demon play, they're long shots anyway. I think this is a pretty comfortable one to take. So hopefully he gets that longest reception in there too. The longest reception is juiced to go over as well. 50-50 shot, 50.42% chance, minus 119. So I like it. I'm going to be rolling that as well. To cover some of these demon slips now, I like this T. Higgins touchdown a lot too. He's only played 7 games this year. He's got 4 touchdowns, 2 in 1 game, 3 games all in a row here with hitting this against pretty tough defenses too. The Chargers, Pittsburgh. These guys are pretty matchup proof. Coming into this game too, Dallas is 30th in touchdowns allowed, so giving up a whole bunch of touchdowns this year, unfortunately. So he's leading their team in or second in the team in red zone targets as well, which makes a lot of sense. And he's just coming back. Like, for only playing 7 games this year, to only be like 20 targets behind Jamar Chase on the year and red zone targets is really solid. So they love this guy in the red zone. He's a huge receiver, got long arms, and he's great at the up topping thing. So when it comes to Randy Moss and somebody, that's your guy right there, is T. Higgins. So like this play a lot to go over. Kevontae Turpin, this dude is a baller, and he's finally getting recognized. He's our punt returner / kickoff returner, but he's so good that we're working him into the offense a lot more this year. Over the last 6 games, he's hit this line in 6 out of 12 games, so he's 50-50 on the year. He's hit this in 6 out of his last 10. In that last game against the Giants, he came in. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb was banged up for like the last quarter, but he came in and got 53 receiving yards, no problem. Against Houston, really tough defense, 86 receiving yards. So 19.5, even I think the other one's at 29.5. Like, I'm comfortable with both of those lines. 24th in receiving yards allowed, the Cincinnati are. So super soft matchup. He's exceeded 15.5 receiving yards in 4 of his last 5 games. So just him doing that twice, we're hitting this line at 30. So I think it's pretty doable. You see there, he's been pretty much crushing this line. So Kevontae Turpin is a speedy guy. So if we can just get him out in space one time, he could at least get half of that yardage. So I like this a lot. Kevontae Turpin's a beast. I'm glad he's getting recognized. To cover some of these other ones, let's see here. I like this. I know Russo's covered most of these. So yeah, CeeDee Lamb at 79.5 receiving yards on one of these. I think that's an easier line to hit too. Rico Dowdle, he covered why he loves Rico Dowdle. Super soft matchup. I agree with him. I think this is huge. I think Rico's going to get fed in this game. So fun matchup. I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm excited. Hopefully I'm not too depressed at the end of the night, but I think it's going to be a fun one.
All right. Well, sorry, I was trying to lock in another slip on Better. They've got a special on Better. I just noticed 0.5 targets for CeeDee Lamb. So I was like, let me throw together another slip real quick. But yeah, if you guys want to come join our Discord, once again, I did not have it pulled up, so I'm not going to pull it up, but we do have a lot of fun in the Discord. We have a killer community. We are running that Parlay Play special. So if you sign up with Parlay Play, use code BACKDOOR. Just email us at bdfantasysports@gmail.com, and we'll give you a full month in our Discord just as added thank you for signing up and using our code. And then if you want to just jump right into the Discord, we lowered our price, so down to $12.99 a month. So you just sign up through Patreon. There's a link below. You sign up through Patreon. Once you're signed up there, you just go into the settings, and then there's a connected apps option in the menu bar. And then it'll show you Discord. You just log into your Discord right there, and then it'll unlock the whole channel. You can come in the community chat, let us know you're new, so we can welcome you and kind of show you how to use everything. If you want to follow us on our socials, we're just at BackdoorFS. It's actually working this time. At BackdoorFS on TikTok, Instagram, and X. We also have our personal socials below if you want to follow any of us. But yeah, guys, enjoy this game. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know if you have any questions about plays. We'll get back to you. But yeah, have a lot of fun, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Good luck, guys.